I'm now going to give you a chance to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll 2 4-sided dice. And it's a dice that looks like a pyramid, and it has the numbers from 1 to 4 on it. And so you roll the 2 dice. Either dice could get a number from 1 to 4, and then you add the 2 numbers together. And so what you're going to do is you're going to tell me how many outcomes are in the sample space. I want you to write out the outcomes in the sample space in a square, like a table. What numbers are you most likely to roll? What numbers are you least likely to roll? And what are their probabilities? And then end with what's the probability of rolling a 7 in this case. So go ahead and press pause and give this a try and see how you do. Okay, so let's see how you do here. I'm going to grab a sheet of paper. So in this case, you're rolling these 2 4-sided dice, and it wants to know how many outcomes are in the sample space. So you actually don't need the table to do this. What you're going to do is, if you roll 2 dice, then you're going to multiply the number of ways you can roll each dice. So I can roll 4 on the first dice, and I can roll 4 on the second dice. And that means there's 16 outcomes. Now I can list those outcomes out in a table. In this case, there's across the top the numbers 1 through 4, down the side numbers 1 through 4. So we can think of this as die 1, and this would be die 2. And so you could roll a 1 and a 1, and that would be a 2. A 1 and a 2 would be 3, 4, and then 5. This would be 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? So, so C was what numbers are you least likely to roll, and what numbers are you most likely to roll. Okay, so for C, least likely would be the 2 and the 8. It'd be 2 and 8. Those would be the least likely. And the probability here would be out of 16 outcomes, there's only one way to roll a 2. Or there's only one way to roll an 8. So it'd be 1 out of 16 for each. Okay? If you say a 2 or an 8, then the event occurs if you roll a 2. Where is my calculator? You know what? I don't think I have my calculator at the moment. Give me a second. Let me grab it in my backpack. So, like, the probability of rolling a 2 then would be 1 out of 16. And that's like 0.0625. And then rolling an 8 would be 0.0625. And of course, if you wanted to know what's the probability of rolling a 6 or an 8, then you would have 2 out of 16, which would be 1/8. Okay, so what's most likely? Well, if you look at the table, this diagonal, where you have the 5s, that's the most likely. So 5 is the most likely. And the probability of rolling a 5 would be 4 out of 16, which is like 1/4. And that's like 0.25. And that would be the most likely. Okay, and then the last question was, what is the probability of rolling a 7? So, part D, probability of rolling a 7. In this case, there's only 2 sevens. So it would be 2 out of 16, which is like 1/8. And that's like 0.125. And that would be, in this case, the probability of rolling a 7. So that gives you another example where you can you roll 2 dice, okay? And the dice don't have to be both the same. So let me just kind of give you some examples. Let's say I have a 12-sided dice and a 6-sided dice. Okay, then I could roll the numbers from 2, and then 6 plus 12 is 18. It would be like 2 to 18. And then you would have like a 12 possibilities here, 6 possibilities here. 6 times 12 is like 72. You'd have 72 outcomes in that case. So there's other possibilities. You could roll a 6-sided dice and a 4-sided dice. So if you did that, then the numbers would be 2 through 10, right? And then you would have a 6-sided dice times a 4-sided dice. So you just multiply the number of ways of rolling on each dice, and there would be, in this case, 24 outcomes. Okay? And so there's all kinds of possibilities. In fact, what we're going to see in the next video is that you can apply this to situations where you're not necessarily rolling dice. But it could be situations where you're doing a combination of things. Just like you can think of the dice as a combination of rolling 2 dice, a combination of rolling a dice twice. Well, you can apply this to other situations, as we will see.